Are smartphones making your kids unhappy? Findings of a study published today in a journal from the American Psychological Association found the more time kids in 8th through 10th grade spent on their devices, the more that they reported feeling unhappy. But are the devices to blame? It's a question a lot of folks are trying to answer these days. Other recent studies found 1 in 2 teens say they're, quote, addicted to their phones. And teens who spend at least 5 hours a day on their devices are 71% more likely to have risk factors for suicide. Joining us now to break it all down, Dr. Lisa Strohman. She's a clinical psychologist, founder and director of the Digital Citizen Academy. Good to have you with us here. As we look at this research makes you stop immediately and go, whoa, wait a minute. My kids are more unhappy the more time they spend on their phone. What's happening in their brain? But even the person behind this research says, I can't say definitively there's a link between the smartphone and your mental health. And yet, how are we supposed to believe there isn't one?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I work with a lot of teenagers. I go into middle schools and high school across the nation. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I've been screaming as loud as I possibly can as a clinical practitioner who's working with kids that this was coming. I think in the last decade, there's a 200% increase in suicides for girls aged 10 to 14. So I see a direct correlation. I've been working in a clinical practice since phones came out. And it is a huge crisis that I think that the American people need to wake up, and globally we need to wake up to, actually.
So what are you seeing that it is about the phone? Is it texting? Is it social media? Is it that some of this horrific bullying behavior is perhaps not only more prevalent, but easier to hide from parents?
I think it's all of it. I think for the biggest issue that I see with the depression and the anxiety and the suicidal ideation, that has to do with social media. And if you think about the amount of content that we take in, just as Americans, we have 6 newspapers worth of data that we're taking in per day. Try to do that with a young child who's gotten their first cell phone, or they don't really have a lot of oversight and they have a bunch of apps on it. The amount of content and information that they're looking and previewing on that device is incredibly high. And it's all oftentimes from peers, not nice. So you've got a lot of trending going around where kids are saying KYS, which means kill yourself, and they make fun of you, and they just can't hide. They can't home and disappear anymore because they're always connected to these devices, and it gets to them.
So it may sound like a simplistic question, but I don't mean it that way. What is the answer here? I mean, can you just take away the phone? That doesn't seem to work either.
No, it's education. I think that I just did my first TED Talk and really talked about the science behind it, how neurochemically and structurally too much technology is bad for the brain. I am definitely not against technology, but it's empowering the children to understand what they can do in order to help themselves. And I've proven time and time again, when you talk to the kids about it and you say, you don't have to do this, and you can restrict some of the time, so you can cut people out that aren't nice to you, they make that choice and they start feel better and get help when they need it.
What are some signs for both kids, adolescents, teens, and also adults that you are spending too much time on your phone in terms of your mental health? I mean, are there signs there that maybe we need to cut the cord a little bit?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of them with adults, you see like that phantom ring or buzz. You start to feel it even if your phone isn't on you anymore. But a lot of times with the kids, when you see the signs that it's getting to be too much, you start to see withdrawal, you start to see irritability, and again, in adults as well. Kids tend to be a little less able to restrain their outward emotion. They don't know how to mask quite as well. So you see a lot of those behaviors where they start to spend more time in their room. Their grades start to slip. They start to want to restrict their activities with other people in real life. So those are some of the big signs when you see your kid changing that you should look at.
Dr. Lisa Strohman, appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.